In episode number 320 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover the final Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Direct.
We also have Ewan McGregor's role in the DCEU, and finally, a confirmation on a character we've been waiting for.
Our comic book review this week is Hex Wives #1 from DC Vertigo.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to your Podcast Awards nominated The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I am Darth Vaydaniel.
And I am Emperor Kelli.
For those of you new to the podcast, we first go over some news. We head into our Brokehead block where we talk about where Kelli and I have been this week. We head on over to our Patreon shoutouts, thanking the people who make this podcast possible. And finally, we end with a comic book or movie review for the week.
But with our introduction out of the way, we are going to jump straight into our news.
We're going to kick it off with the biggest chunk of information that came out of this week, something that maybe you don't care about quite as much. But it's for a franchise that I have not missed the game on, a series that we had talked about the rumors on which characters were going to be added last week, one of which was confirmed this week, and that is for the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Direct.
I think you got the name of the game wrong. It's Super Smash Who Cares, brother.
We're going to have to sit through all of this because I'm going to go through everything that was almost everything, just the important parts of this direct.
So the first thing is the fighter that was confirmed, of course, Ken from Street Fighter.
Based on his appearance on Street Fighter 2 Turbo, he is an Echo Fighter to Ryu, so has the exact same moveset, but tweaked a little bit to fit a different playstyle that some of the, for example, Wolf and Fox. Wolf's a lot slower and stronger, whereas Fox is lighter, faster, but much weaker.
We also got to look at Incineroar from Pokemon. He is the Fire Cat from Sun and Moon, most recently.
First appeared in Pokemon Sun and Moon and uses wrestling moves and poses after each one. His final smash ends up being what he uses as a Z move in Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Who?
Aren't you kind of glad, though, that there's more Pokemon at least playable?
Because I don't give a shit about that Pokemon.
Yeah, I don't care about Incineroar either.
If it was like more Pikachus, like regular Pikachu and then like birthday hat Pikachu, but they have to be two different characters. It can't just be
It can't just be a skin swap?
No. Two different characters. If they had, I was really looking forward to the chorus kids from
Rhythm Heaven.
I wanted like the Tiki heads from Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah, none of that was confirmed as being true. The only one that was right ended up being Ken, not even Shadow the Hedgehog. And the biggest one, I think, would have been for us, the Chorus Kids, as you said. Mac Rider, no mention of that either. A couple of new assist trophies were shown, including the Fly Swatter from Mario Paint, Isaac from Golden Sun, which was another character that people were saying might get added. Instead, it's an assist trophy. And also Guile from Street Fighter. My favorite part of that assist trophy thing is they're showing off each one, and then you hear I'm like, fucking Guile's theme song. Fuck yes.
It's not Arnold Schwarzenegger high-fiving that guy, and then
no,
explosions.
It's just as good. Like, I will have Guile's theme song in whatever stage that allows it, because it is one of the best video game songs of all time.
Guile, you son of a bitch.
I know with the video reveals, like it had Ken fighting the boxing guy from fucking One Punch or whatever the hell it's called, Punch Out. And when Ken throws him off the stage using a final smash move, that's when Incineroar comes in, he kicks his fucking ass, uses a bunch of moves, and those were like the two reveals. What I thought was funny is that Sakurai was saying now that we have all of the revealed secret
Yes.
fighters, we can talk about these other modes. It's like, you're so full of shit, man.
Well, it was hilarious because I was watching it with you, right? And he goes, yep, and these are all the fighters that we're going to have. This is all of them, all 72 or something ridiculous. And then later they go, oh, and you can get this fighter. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you're just a bunch of lies.
A bunch of lies, because they did announce DLC bundles of not just new fighters, but they will come with new stages and music, probably to accompany that particular character. And it is going to be a set of releases that go through until February 2020, so roughly a little bit over a year of DLC for $6 a bundle. So pretty much $6 a fighter, because let's face it, that's what you're really buying it for.
Right.
Or you can get all 5 bundles for $24.99.
So that's a little bit of a discount if you go that way as opposed to purchasing them separately.
Which most people are going to go the route of
Of
$24.99. Why not? Why would you not want more options of characters to fight?
Hopefully the chorus kids end up there.
I know they said that they are now going to start working on this set of DLC fighters. I'm sure this is only the first bundle, though. There's no way they don't do an additional 5
Of course.
in 2020 and say, all right, for the next year, there's going to be 5 more. And it's like, keep selling DLC. And yes, sell DLC. Don't just release it or make it a part of the game as unlockables.
Mm-hmm.
Charge people for that, because for Smash Brothers, there's no ceiling nearly on how much money you can make on this thing.
Another character that they announced, though, and you will get this if you register your game via your Nintendo Switch prior to January 31st. Who is this character?
The fucking Piranha Plant. Hell fucking yes. I don't know if this is the first of those DLC bundles. That's what it sounded like, that this is one of the first fighters in there. But when they first showed it, you register it, you get it for free, right? And maybe it's not one of the 5 bundles, because then if you register, then do you really have to buy the bundle? I don't know. It's not really a discount. I was confused at that. But I did not care, because Petey Piranha is one of my favorite characters in the Mario universe, only because of not Sega Soccer Slam, although it's the same creators, Super Mario Strikers.
Mm-hmm.
When my brother and I used to play that game, and it used to be co-op, you can defeat the game like that, you can go online and play co-op, I was always Petey Piranha. I would always vomit on the other characters, put them in their sticky fucking place. The whole move was vomit all around you, pick up the soccer ball and fill up your meter all the way, and then shoot it off. We would do that shit all fucking day.
And I'm sure people hated you for it.
We were pretty fucking good at it. Like, the highest that we ever gotten were 70s world ranking.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many people were playing online, but
Shit.
we were like, God damn, like, we kept winning. And it was one of my favorite characters because of that, because it reminds me of that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the Piranha Plant's final smash, he does turn into Petey Piranha, throws his fucking cages around from Super Smash Bros. Wii, I think, the first time they had the Space Emissary mode, and just wrecks shit. And even the piranha itself, it's in a little pot. It stretches out and can bite the other characters.
It throws, like, those spiky balls, like, bleh.
And every time it has a move, it changes colors too. So it represents like a different plant throughout the history of Mario. And that's the one that I was most excited for out of this batch of 3 characters. To me, that is like, yes, that is the character I was waiting for. To the rest of the internet, that's the one they were mad about. Because they framed this up first. The first shot you see is of Luigi, dizzy, kind of out of it, and then you see other Mario characters as well, and people were saying, this is Waluigi, they're going to fucking do it. And it's the fucking Piranha Plant, and it's like, fuck yes. That's way better than Waluigi.
You never know, maybe one of the downloadable characters will be Waluigi.
It probably will be, but I hope that I hope he does another Piranha Plant, like a bigger one, and that's DLC number 2. Just other characters that are never Waluigi. Whenever people are most vocal about a character, the less I want that character in it, because I get tired of hearing the whining. Right now with Heroes in Crisis number 1, by the way, that issue is over a year old or a month old, so not really a spoiler at this point. You should have read it. But everyone whining about Wally West, endless tweets about them killing Wally West, because that seems to be a theme for DC. It's like, it's fucking comic book death, guys. This is a 9-issue miniseries. He'll be back. All of these characters will be back. It's Tom King. He's the one who never ended up going through with the wedding. There's probably no crisis at the end of this. It probably all never happened.
Heroes in no crisis.
No crisis. Heroes in, Tom King wimped out again, and we're not going to have that.
He is never going to live that down.
Not with me.
Ever in all of his life.
Even when the wedding actually happens, I won't care. I'm still upset about it, Tom.
Aww.
Not happy.
It's like she left you.
I'm more upset about this than Batman is. She left all of us, Kelly. You were mad too.
I was pretty mad, but like I'm like kind of over it now. I'm like, all right, Tom King, like keep giving us more good stories.
I was talking earlier about playing co-op with my brother. Well, you can have online play because it is returning for this latest Smash Bros. Ultimate in the form of single or co-op play, and the pairings actually run locally to help the game run smoother, although Nintendo was sure to sneak in a recommendation of be sure to buy the LAN adapter separately, because that's what we recommend to make the game run even smoother.
Yeah, sure. I think it's smart that they're doing it locally, though, to help the game, you know, you combat the lag, which can be a killer, right, in this kind of game.
That was the biggest issue with the Wii U version of Smash Brothers, because there was a 1 second or half a second delay, which is a massive difference when you're playing Smash Brothers. That is a move you can pull off. That is a dodge that you're suddenly not landing.
Right.
After so many, you know, tries of doing that online, it wasn't the same. It was best just to play locally, and hopefully this is maybe the time that you can actually have 1-on-1. I could be wrong. I don't know.
But buy that landline.
Yeah, gotta buy that land. I'm gonna fucking have to buy it. Even cooler though, based on your online records, players with high rankings are going to be invited to a special online area titled the Elite Smash, where the best of the world compete. The ones with maybe no lives, or they're just really fucking good at it.
Or they're 13.
Or they're 13. I will make fun of that until if I somehow make it, then I'll be like, no, this is the elite, guys. You just have to work hard.
You just gotta, and then you're gonna get into the elite and play one match and win and be like, oh, I'm retired.
Yeah, I'm retiring. Undefeated in elite.
And you'll say that everywhere. Oh, well, I'm undefeated in the elite, so.
I'll put up t-shirts on TeePublic, undefeated in elite. The last thing that they ended up confirming on this Nintendo Direct is adventure mode. Yes, this is what they wanted to see. This is what people were asking for, aside from Waluigi, is a story mode, which from the beginning I said does not matter. You don't need story mode. Right. You really don't. It's a very similar stance to Call of Duty right now, in which there is no single player. It's only online. You're only buying an online game.
Nobody even cares about single player.
Because most people jump right into multiplayer, and it's very similar to Smash, although in a much larger percentage of them are actually playing story mode. But in this case, it's like, yeah, but once you get through story mode, you're playing all of the many other modes, like Classic, like All-Star, and mainly multiplayer. That's where most people end up spending their time. They're also unlocking the trophies, the stages, building stages, many more modes that you use other than story mode. That's probably you go through it once or twice, and you're pretty much done. But because people were demanding, and because it seems like this is a don't ever fucking bug me about anything again. But it's Nintendo fans, so they're always going to bug him about whatever. They did seem to add some kind of adventure mode, some kind of story mode, in which some kind of villain causes all of the characters to lose their bodies and transform into spirit. Eliminates the entire universe of Nintendo characters, Capcom, anything that you have seen in Smash is gone. And it comes in through these beams, these master hands turn into these fucking beams and go off. By the way, at the beginning, Fox McCloud is leading the whole fucking universe, this world of fighters. Like, fuck yes, that's my little nod. Like, Fox McCloud is doing his thing. Meanwhile, one of the other characters says, Marth, he says, we gotta eliminate 10 each just to make this work. And Zelda says, yeah, don't give up. Let's fucking do this. And it ends up being like, holy shit. All of us are gonna fucking die. And they all do fucking die. Except for one. The hero that the world does not deserve, but that we need. You got to see this.
I did. So I'll start before we spoil this hero, which I'm hoping everybody's seen it by now. But if you haven't, it was very cinematic. I enjoyed the way they put it together. Like, my heart was in my throat the whole time. Like, no, all these people, like, because they just get obliterated. Like, they're sitting there with their shields up and boom, you're gone. That's it. Dust. Destroying all of them. And you're just like, oh my God, we can't stop it. And then, like, you get that premonition in the very beginning from, what's his name?
The guy from Xenoblade?
Yeah, whatever. Don't even know who he is. Where he's just like, oh shit, we're all gonna die. He probably doesn't even try to fight because he already knows they're gonna die, right? And so you're going through all this and you think they're all dead. Except for one minor thing where Kirby fucking got away before the beam got him. Pulled a Batman and a Mega Beam.
Teleported out of that shit.
Yeah.
Took his little star and ran off. And of course, you know what happened on
He was like,
Twitter?
fuck this shit.
Most of Twitter was saying that canonically, he is the protagonist of Smash Brothers. He is the hero of these games.
Really?
Yeah, because he's the one that has to save the rest of the characters in this Smash Brothers Ultimate. Like, that is the main character. And it's also the only reason why the rest of the characters even live, and it's because of Kirby. And it makes sense because Sakurai is one of the co-creators to Kirby, one of the creators to Super Smash Brothers. So why not make the character that you co-created the one that you really kind of put your signature on and make that the hero of this franchise?
I will also argue that I think Kirby is one of the easiest characters to play with.
That as well.
Because
I think Mario
that is the only character that I could ever play with was Kirby. Because I would fly in the air, bloop, 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 and then I'd turn into a rock and drop on people. And that was all I did. That was the only way I could ever play the game.
Yeah, I thought it was an awesome cinematic as well. It was it was funny to see a lot of these characters die because Snake, for example, was trying to be slick, just went under his box, and the camera holds on him for a second, then
Bing. Fucking gone.
Lucario and Greninja, poor guys, like they're teleporting and shit, but not enough, and he gets them. Pikachu and Sonic are running side by side.
Yeah.
Gone as well, not fast enough. Falco on his R-Wing, also not fast enough. Those beams are incredibly quick. You see that Link... Okay, so one, Mewtwo can't block that shit. Tries to use the reflect attack or barrier, does not work. Same with Zelda. Same with Palutena. Link puts up his fucking Hylian shield and is able to block 2 of those fucking things. And it's only because the hit of it makes the shield go up and then the beam hits him in the body. Someone pointed out, what the fuck is that shit made of? They can block all of that.
It's made of magic, or I don't know.
I don't know what it is, but
who the hell knows? It was cool.
The only one that was able to block some shit.
Right.
Everyone else, and some of the people started whining, like, how come Sonic is not faster than Kirby's star? It's like, because Sakurai said it wasn't. Shut the fuck up.
Kirby's star was pretty fast.
Teleported out of there.
Yeah. It gets real fast. Gone.
You had said that Batman himself would have avoided these in a very similar way.
He would have pulled what he did in Justice League, where he just jumps over some guy and, like, the beam gets him. And then the giant thing would be like, nobody's ever avoided my hand beams before. Would have left him the fuck alone.
How would the scene have played then? Because you see the whole universe white out and get exploded. And it's only because Kirby teleported and lands on this Earth where you see all the stages, right? And that's where the game kind of begins. Where would Batman show up in there?
I mean, Kirby would have picked him up and teleported with him.
See, my answer is you wouldn't have seen that. Like, it would have been the same cinematics. He would have avoided the beam, and the thing would have complimented Batman, as you do. But when Kirby arrived to that world and it pans out, it's only you and I, Kirby. The camera turns, and out of the shadows, he just walks out.
How did he get there?
Doesn't matter. He's Batman.
It's fucking Batman. I will say that this story mode looks pretty cool. It looks like the premise is all the characters have been turned into dark versions of themselves. You start as Kirby fighting Mario. Once you defeat them, then you unlock that character that you can continue playing as you go around. Kind of like almost in a 2D world, right? Would you say? Where you just walk around and click. I don't know. It looked cool to me.
You ride Lapras at one point.
Yes, you do. You get to, like, pull up Lapras and ride around, go to islands.
One of the things they pointed out is that there are now more assist trophies than there are Pokemon with the Pokeballs and everything. So they said it's the first time in any Smash Brothers where that is the case. I think you would disagree with that. I think you would like to see more Pokemon rather than the rest of the video game characters. Weigh that out. Would you rather see more Pokemon in the game or more Fire Emblem characters as assist trophies?
Pokemon, for sure.
Can I name any other, like, video game anything that I would say, like, but they might show up? Or I can even say Pikachu's because that's fucking Pokemon.
I mean, if Harvest Moon characters started showing up, like moo cows and chickens, and
Boss sheeps. What about DBZ characters?
Oh, hell yeah. Wait, which DBZ characters?
Vegeta and the rest.
No.
Only Vegeta.
Only Vegeta. Well, Vegeta and his family. Bulma can be there. I guess you can have Goku. I like Beerus. Beerus can be there.
What about his assistant?
Whis?
Yeah.
Whis can be there too. But none of the rest of them assholes. Faceless bitches.
Mr. Popo has to be there.
Yeah, but the thing is, I like Mr. Popo best in DBZ Abridged and in the regular show. He would never be DBZ Abridged in in Super Smash Brothers, because then in that scene where the world gets erased, it would zoom out and it would just be these two eyes. Hi.
Probably.
And that would be it. And then we'd be like, oh, shit.
As far as this direct, just to kind of wrap this whole thing up, Smash Brothers, in case you don't know, Ultimate releases on December 7th. We are pretty much a month away from this game releasing, a month away from me not playing it, because I barely have enough time as it is to play Call of Duty, and I'm behind on Red Dead Redemption, I'm behind on Spider-Man, and that's only on this year's games. I'm not even going to count the other Switch games that have come out, or the other PS3 games that I have downloaded that I probably will never play.
Well, here's the thing. Do you ever, like, we have to take a block of time to make this happen, right? You just got to plan it. You say, Kelly, I'm going to play video games at this time. And I say, okay. And then I take over for Leo and you play video games.
But there's not a block of time, though. Whenever there's moments in the day. There's not a block. And those moments are, I got to work on show notes. Those moments are, I got to clean. I got to do the laundry. I got to start the dishes. It's all, there's no blocks. That doesn't exist.
That's why we make blocks. You make a 2-hour window on Thursday or Tuesday when you get home from work and it's the beginning of my weekend and he's already asleep.
The thing that I probably like the most out of this direct, and this wasn't my favorite one, I think there's so little information at this point, so little surprises that they give us aside from the DLC characters, is that they've pretty much confirmed a lot of the things that we definitely wanted out of the game. They sold us this very early. This is all kind of like frosting on the cake. And the biggest one, I think, for me is that the co-op mode for online is back. So if I ever do get the moment to play online for Smash Bros. Ultimate, I can hopefully play online with my brother, team up, and hopefully win a couple of matches, assuming that the online services are better than what we've had in the past.
Like you said, we'll find out in just about a month, and then I'm sure we'll have a full review then.
Moving on from that massive bit of video game news over to a little bit of something for Star Wars fans, and I think a wrong move for Disney. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy has confirmed on Critics' Choice that the Boba Fett solo film is 100% dead.
The company will instead focus on the Star Wars show titled The Mandalorian for 2019.
It is unclear if any aspects of the scrapped film will carry over to the show. That is your Venom of that universe. That is that character looks great. I will pay money just because that character looks cool on that page, on the big screen, on the television. And you're not going to do it because of how Solo performed on the big screen. I understand business mindset. You're going, okay, let's take a step back. Let's not release a movie every single year. Let's instead focus on the core trilogy before we lose even that. But it's like, no, Boba Fett is the exception. That's the one character. If you were to only do one single solo film, you do Boba Fett. Not because he's interesting, not because he has a cool backstory, not because he's even that good of a character. Watch the original trilogy. But because he looks cool. And people will pay movie tickets. They will buy those just to see him be cool, or at least look cool with that fucking helmet on the big screen.
I agree 100%. Obviously, I wasn't going to go see the movie, but I'm not the market for this, right? There are still so many Boba Fett fans who would go and, just like you said, see it because he looks cool, and they would have made their money back easy.
Watch, it turns out that they were about to cast Tom Hardy as Boba Fett, and we'd be like, we would have been there day one, you motherfuckers. Fucking do it.
We would have had to. And he would have been amazing.
I would have been cheering on Disney on their Fettverse, just as we are with Sony and the Venomverse.
The Fettverse.
It's got to happen. Do Tom Hardy, have him be Boba Fett, watch the billions come into the company.
And they would. Have they given us any more information about this TV show that they're doing?
They said that it's going to be on the Disney Play app, along with other Marvel and Star Wars exclusive TV shows that they're going to have. One of the things, and I didn't include it because it's the MCU, and it's really, who cares? You think, it's even less of, you're more interested in Smash Brothers than you are in these other fucking things.
Oh, of course.
But an example, they're doing a mini-series TV special type of thing, several episodes that are exclusive to Disney Play, of the Winter Soldier and Falcon teaming up, doing whatever it is. And they're doing one with the Vision and Scarlet Witch. It's who cares? Like, I'm looking at your face. It's like, I know. But that's what they're trying to aim at and having these exclusives on the service, one of which is the Mandalorians, which does kind of rhyme with midichlorians, so hopefully we'll get one bit of that.
When I hear Mandalorians, I just think of Doc Brown, like, zooming in on his car, like, lifting up, and he's like, Boba Fett, we need to go back to the future.
Why Back to the Future?
Because DeLoreans.
Oh, I see. I get
Mandalorians, DeLoreans, come on. Thought you could read my mind.
That's pretty much my objection to them not continuing in the Star Wars film universe is, you do a Fett film, but something else that I am rooting for is that according to The Wrap, Castlevania's producer, remember this was on Netflix, it is on Netflix, Adi Shankar will be developing a Legend of Zelda television show.
Shit!
Nintendo has declined to comment, and Adi is set to officially release an announcement on November 16th.
About 2 weeks away.
This pissed off some Nintendo hardcore fans.
Why?
Because Zelda's the boy. Zelda should not talk. And how can they do a TV show?
Okay, how do you know that he's going to talk?
My thing is, how do you even know that you're going to use Zelda? What if this is a prequel to even before? What if the show ends on the hero of time showing up?
What if it's Ganondorf's story? Ganondorf. What's his name?
You got it. Ganondorf.
Oh, yeah.
Call him Gandalf.
Whatever. What if it's his story about why he's evil?
Great. Amazing.
Perfect.
I hope it's not based on anything. Like, on any of the games specifically. Like, if you do have that, I think it'll work as Wind Waker. I think it'll work as Ocarina of Time. Those stories are rich enough to do a whole television series, even multiple seasons of it. But if they're not tied down to a particular game, then they can tell even more stories. You know what? They could even get away, though. If they did want to really set it in a certain game, they can get away with just having separate adventures in that progress. And when you want to hit a certain end of season, maybe then he completes a temple. Or gets a new weapon by the end of it, defeats a boss.
It still amazes me after all the amazing movies and shows and storytelling that we've seen that people don't think this can be done without Link speaking.
That's what blows me away too, is most people, the main thing is one, they say nothing video game is ever good based on TV shows or movies. It's like, have you seen Mortal Kombat? That's pretty fucking good. Have you seen the new Tomb Raider? That's probably the best live action video game movie we've gotten so far. And let's assume those were completely, let's assume they were all as bad as the Avengers. Every single video game movie out there, as bad as anything in the MCU. Does that mean they should never try? Does that mean that they could never ever make something that is really good? Until it actually happens, people will keep saying that. But then when it happens, then they'll suddenly change, well, it was done right. This is how you do it. Now it's done right. It's like, this is what I'm saying. Think logically for a second. Like, people think in patterns, so they assume that it's going to continue in that pattern. But it's like, no. I brought this up with My Heroic Academics, the live action. I was talking to my coworker, and she said every time they do an anime adaptation that's live action, it ends up being shit. And I said, really? Legendary has done a bunch of these? And she's like, well, I don't know if Legendary has done them. Oh, so Legendary has never failed at doing a live action adaptation of an anime. So this might be, even if they had 1,000,000 times, that doesn't mean that My Heroic Academics is also going to be bad. You got to put yourself in that mindset. And I don't know why that's so difficult for people to do.
Here's the thing, too. Is it your money that's being spent?
That's the other thing.
Like, you just don't go see it if you want to, right? It's not your money. That they're not taking your money to make this.
Or forcing you to go.
Right.
You're not paying for the production of this thing. They're paying for all of that. Whether or not you choose to help them recoup that cost is completely up to you. If it interests you at all, then you will go see it, and you'll go from there. Then you can bitch about how shitty it was after you've seen it.
Right, because then you've invested something in it. Right now, you've invested nothing. Ay.
I hope they make them talk. I hope they bring back excuse me. I hope they do all of the things
They're not
that
going to make
upsets
them
the
talk.
Nintendo fanboys.
There are plenty. What was that movie that just came out? The horror movie where nobody spoke and there was no sound in it?
The one with Jim Halpert?
Yeah.
I heard that was good.
I heard it was really good. So if you can do something like that where nobody talks, you have enough characters around Link who can talk and explain everything. He doesn't have to talk. He can just do his weird little grunts. He'd be fine.
Or he fucking talks, and who cares? And he progresses the story. And God forbid he's a fucking 2-dimensional character, 3-dimensional character. Whatever, any more than what he is right now is already helping the story along.
Wow, you really don't like Link.
Oh, no, who's Link? I'm talking about Zelda.
I'm sorry, Zelda the boy, yes.
Zelda's fine. Like, Zelda in the games is your avatar. It is you. It makes sense for Zelda not to speak. But in this case, for a TV show, you're not controlling the show. Mm-hmm. This is not a point-and-click adventure. It should be. This is the story told by these writers, and you are watching and you're along for the journey. You're not affecting the story at all. Zelda should speak.
Well, we'll see. I don't think Zelda's going to speak, and you do. Let's take a bet on it.
I will bet this, but also I'm betting that Zelda's not even in it, that it's all a prequel to Zelda even showing up. That's the bet. So I get one of two ways to win.
No!
Yes.
That's not even fair.
Because that's probably not going to happen.
Link's going to be in it, and he's not going to speak. Now let's shake hands again so I can play my theme song.
All right.
Dun, 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 dun. What do I get when I win?
I don't know. You should have said that before. Too late. Another thing that is going beyond expectations, we had said they shouldn't have even done this. We had said it's a shitty character, never make a movie. And then, as we said before, Tom Hardy ended up getting cast, and suddenly we completely 100% flip-flopped on the idea of it. It comes out, and lo and behold, everyone else is also like, yeah, Tom Hardy fucking carried this thing. And he did. He could have played whoever. Could have played Zelda. You could have pulled it off.
What would you do if the TV show cast Tom Hardy as Link?
Then he can be silent or speak, or I don't care. It'll be great. Venom has hit its third week in theaters. Have things slowed down, Kelly? Have things slowed down for Sony?
No, not really. So Sony has topped 477.8 million globally, according to Deadline.
Top markets internationally for Venom have been Korea with 28.9 million. Russia ended up being actually pretty big. We had said that had broken records, and we're like, well, how big is that market? It's right here, 28.8 million. The UK, we have some listeners out there, 22.5 million. Mexico with $21.7 million. And Brazil with $15.8 million. Sony, once again, good on you and bad on Disney and the MCU.
This film hasn't even released everywhere yet. It's scheduled to open in China and Japan next month.
And rumblings are saying that it's going to be huge in China as well.
Huge.
Cannot wait. Cannot wait for that Venomverse to become more valuable for Sony. I want to see more out of these movies. You're going to retain Spider-Man after your 3-movie deal in whitewashed Miles Morales is done. Then you can leave. You can scrap that Homecoming Spidey-Man and make your real one again. Make your true Peter Parker, because so far Disney has made the least Peter Parker film version of the character than we've ever gotten before.
We need Peter Parker played by Tom Hardy, and then it will make a bunch of money.
Hell yes. He can play all.
Wait, but wasn't he Venom? He needs to play Mary Jane, too? Just put a red wig on him?
So this past weekend, I dressed up as Mrs. Doubtfire. Uh-huh. And then I ended up having like a reaction with my eye, because I guess you're not supposed to have shaving cream on for that long. I don't know what it is. But that next day I had like a sty pretty much in my eye and healed up. But then that new comic book day, which ended up being actually Halloween, I said, I'm just going to put on the wig, the robe, and I'll be Norman Bates, which is one of the jokes that Robin Williams makes in Mrs. Doubtfire. One of the regulars came in, saw my coworker who was dressed as Spider-Man, and he's like, oh, I know who you are. That grandma, Peter Parker's grandma. I'm like, Aunt May?
That would have been perfect. You should have just rolled with it.
And I said, yeah, I'm Aunt May.
That's way better.
I 100% rolled with it. I said, yeah, Aunt May and Peter Parker. That's right.
You guys coordinated your costumes.
Tia May. Tia Maria. Yeah, you're kind of brown and you have a beard. Tia Maria.
Did you pull off your chancla and like
I should have. I wish I had one. Mexican Norman Bates would have had a chancla instead of a knife. You got to come up with that name. What's the Mexican Norman Bates?
It's Norma, and then whatever Bates.
Norma Bañez.
There you go.
I'd watch that too. Should exist if it doesn't already. Those millions of dollars that Venom has earned, going in the right direction, going towards Sony, I'm happy with that. But you want an opposite example of someone wasting their fucking money, and I know how some DCEU fans are going to disagree with me on this, but this is how you trash your dollar.
Through a public fundraiser, pedo-perv James Gunn fans are aiming to rent a billboard space outside of Disneyland in California, with one stating, quote, "Save the galaxy, James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, end quote.
This fundraiser has so far brought in $5,000 of its $12,000 goal.
That is $5,000 too much.
Way too much. Warner Brothers, of course, recently signed on pedo-perv James Gunn to write Suicide Squad 2, which we are not watching.
My question is, why are you putting this outside Disneyland, the theme park, which does not create movies?
Because it gets eyeballs on the billboard. It's going to make the news if they hit this goal and if Disney somehow does not stop this billboard from going up. And I understand people are like, that's not Disney's. It's like, no, but they have enough power to go, hey, you're not allowed to put that outside of Disneyland.
Well, you know what Disney would do is just buy the fucking billboard. Like, why go through all this? Disney would just buy it and put up something else. And just be like, oh yeah, we just wanted to buy it. Wanted to put it.
Throw Mickey ears on it, and now it's an ad for the park.
Perfect. That's all you got to do.
It is an interesting time of pedo-perv James Gunn-ness, because on one end we were talking about Guile's theme and Arnold Schwarzenegger with Creed holding hands. They're holding, not arm wrestling. Yes, it's a loving hands. Thing. Mm-hmm. And on the people have made that meme where it says DCEU belugas and MCU sheep, and in the middle it's rehire James Gunn. And the idea is DC fans are going, this backfired. Please rehire him. Get him out of the DC extended universe.
Right.
And the Marvel sheep are going, yes, please bring him back.
James.
And they're saying that these two fans are now agreeing in, please rehire him. Get out of here. I'm standing in, no, don't rehire him in that either.
You're the predator killing them both.
Exactly. I'm the fucking predator killing both. Like, you do not want him to work on either of these properties.
Anything. Ever again.
Disney, if he wants to be a writer, go off to TV Land or somewhere where it is away from our particular...
Like, specifically TV Land? Like, the...
Yes,
the
even
station
smaller.
for old people?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Keep them there and away from kids, please. And babies and anyone younger than a kid, because pedo-perv. And in this case, if they do have him back on Galaxy 3, and I don't think they will, because Disney has been very firm on that, and a lot of the cast members, Rooker, whoever he played, Mary Poppins in Guardians 2 and 1, and then Drax have both been very supportive of James Gunn in the DCEU universe. One, they probably want roles in his second Suicide Squad, but two, it seems pretty final that Disney does not want anything to do with him. And the Marvel sheep are saying, well, this is actually a good pickup for Warner Brothers because they understand what Disney does not. They know what they have.
A pedo-perv?
They have a pedo-perv. That's my whole thing. And their logic is, and they're not wrong in saying that by the time the movie releases, people will have forgotten, and the general audience won't actually care about whether or not he tweeted these things out. Like, moms and dads, people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they don't care that he tweeted out these perverted things. People that are in this, people that are, I hate to use the word, but hardcore about the DC universe or the Marvel universe, understand that this is a big deal. And people like us will not go see things that he is going to be involved in. If it had just been Joey Whedon on Justice League and not partially a Zack Snyder film, and that's the one thing we were juggling with, we would have avoided Justice League. Turns out that even though he was partially involved in Justice League, it was his awfulness was enough to infect the whole fucking movie. And now, a year later, we now know that the scenes that they quote-unquote reshot ended up being way more extensive than we thought. There's way more Joey Whedon in there than we initially saw. And in this case, it's another case of, no, we will boycott Suicide Squad 2. That does not mean that the whole DC universe, and some DC Belugas are going that far and going, no, I'm not seeing anything after what happened with Justice League. It's like, no, pick and choose, man. Look at what's happening in the universe, see what actors are going in. Ewan McGregor is a huge example. The Joaquin Phoenix Joker, some of them have gone, I'm only seeing that universe. It's like, that's not a universe. That's one fucking
That's
movie,
one
you idiot.
Right. Well, the thing, too, with him being attached to Suicide Squad, too, like we talked about previously, is you're probably not going to get Margot Robbie. So this is going to be probably a completely different Suicide Squad, and they're going to get even less people seeing it.
It just seems like these pedo perv news do not end with James Gunn. What was his alter ego? Jimmy Firearm?
Jimmy Firearm. With 2 M's at the end.
That's right. There has been incredible demand, Palpa Kelly,
Incredible.
for the greatest Batman anything of all time. Warner Brothers is increasing its print run of Batman the Animated Series Blu-ray set to 70,000 copies to accommodate demand.
70,000.
Previously, major online retailers had to suspend sales of the set as stock became way too low.
Even with 70,000, they still didn't have your copy.
Yeah, that was a weird thing where I was seeing on Twitter and Instagram, people were like, I got my copy. Ooh, here's my deluxe edition. I'm like, where the fuck is mine? I pre-ordered that shit in July. The first day they went up, I pre-ordered my shit. I know it went up on Amazon first, and I said, fuck Amazon. I'm not buying anything from them ever. But then it went up on the WB shop, and I said, fuck yes, right here. And they even had an exclusive set there. You can get the exclusive t-shirts that you could only get. And in this case, I pre-ordered it extremely early. Everyone was getting their copies. I still did not have mine. I finally shot an email to WB, and I said, hey, man, you know, I'm not going to tell Jeff about this. So I'm instead going to email you first. Where's my copy?
I'm hoping we can sort this out as adults.
But if we don't, if you want to be a baby, then maybe I do speed dial my buddy, Mr. Johns.
Or James, if they're going to be a baby. So you emailed them.
I got a response today. I got 2 responses. The first email said, thank you so much for your interest in your deluxe order. Unfortunately, due to demand, we had to print out more copies of the disc, and not all orders have been fulfilled yet. Stay tuned because by November 15th, we will have an update on your order. I said, there's no way they went through thousands of copies in that first hour or 2 that I pre-ordered mine. Almost immediately after that, I received my shipping confirmation and tracking number for my Blu-ray set of the animated series. And I said, what the tight ship, guys? What the hell is going on here?
Well, the first email was probably an automated one, right? Like it went to somebody over in this office here and they said, when you get questions about this, this is what you send them.
Probably.
And so they didn't even look at your shit. They just sent that. And then somebody over in this warehouse over here said, oh, yep, ship to Daniel. Like,
I included my order number in there because I know how this works.
Yeah, I get that. But they probably, I mean, it's probably an intern who's sitting here all day answering the same email.
Tight ship is all I've got to say. But I'm happy I'm getting it. It's supposed to arrive tomorrow night. So
Good.
We'll see.
We'll watch it.
One of the things that people have been really mad about is that the set, it comes with a digital copy of all of the episodes of the animated series. This Blu-ray set, for the first time in HD high definition, you could also see it on the DC Universe app in also HD high definition. It's a Tommy Wiseau reference to anyone that's missing this. But the digital copies that you buy in the deluxe edition are in standard format, which pissed off a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I said, but that's why I bought the Blu-ray, though, so I can have this in HD high definition.
so
to me,
have the disc.
The digital copy does not matter.
Right.
That was the less reliable copy of Batman the Animated Series. I want the physical Blu-ray on hand because it looks the best reading from a Blu-ray disc. So I could do without the digital copies too.
Maybe they're including the standard the SD standard definition digital download so that you can compare. You can say, wow, this episode is real shitty. Let me put in my Blu-ray disc. It looks much better.
No, this episode is really fucking good. Looks exactly like it looked when I was a kid. Oh my God, it's an HD definition. It's even more amazing.
HD high definition.
There's no bad copy or bad version of BTAS. It does not exist. Maybe some episodes in season 4, but I don't include that in the animated series because that's the new Batman and Robin Adventures or whatever they called it.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully by tomorrow night, you will have yours. You will be excited. Did you get the t-shirt too?
I ended up saving the $20 and did not get the t-shirt.
What did it look like?
It actually was all right. It was a image of, not really an image, it was a shadowed image with highlights of light of Batman like leaping. So it wasn't even like a full color thing of Batman himself.
They could have included like one of the old shirts that they did like a few years ago.
I agree. 100%
Those
agree.
were awesome.
But the animated series is remastered for the first time since its airing back in 1992, ran for 3 years up until 1995. And of course, from there, you got the Timverse, in which you got Superman, the animated series. You got Static Shock, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited, the Zeta Project.
What?
Yes. The box set is available now for $112.99, but you may not get yours until late November due to these copies being printed. Worth the wait, worth getting it.
Moving back over to the big screen for DC, as we mentioned in the beginning, Ewan McGregor is finally in a DC movie. According to Deadline, he has been cast as Birds of Prey, Big Bad Black Mask.
Insert character here, does not matter. Ewan McGregor, an amazing fucking actor, most known for, I think, the Star Wars prequels as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No.
Really fleshed out that character. Okay, what do you know him as?
He's known as the guy from Moulin Rouge. I can sing all his songs. I was great. I had the soundtrack, and I sang along to him all the time, and I was like, yes, my heart.
He was never in Pirates of the Caribbean. That would have been perfect for you.
That would have been so perfect.
What if he's in the reboot?
Along
with Tom Hardy.
All right. Does Tom Hardy play the redhead?
He can play whoever. Again, just like Ewan McGregor.
I just want Tom Hardy to play a woman now. I don't know why. Just like not even try to look like a woman, just put on a wig and keep his gruff voice. It'd be perfect.
Black Mask first appeared in 1985's Batman number 386. His abilities include being a criminal mastermind and a master of torture and intimidation techniques.
I mean, sounds cool.
Black Mask previously showed up in Gotham for Fox's TV show. The Birds of Prey film is set to release on February 7th, 2020. Same year as Wonder Woman. So what do you think of the bad guy being someone as big as Ewan McGregor?
I think it's a good choice to go with. I mean, like we just said, we really like Ewan McGregor, right? So go ahead, put him in it.
Do you think he'll have a big role? Someone like him, do you hide his face? Do you think he'll wear the mask often? Do you think it'll be an origin story for Black Mask?
No, I think he's going to already be established. He's going to be, I mean, maybe throw in flashes of his background, but I don't even think we'll see that. He's got to wear his mask, right?
You don't buy Ewan McGregor and not show his face, though.
Yeah, well, you don't buy, what's his name from Judge Dredd and not show his face?
He's not as big as Ewan McGregor.
Listen, I think, I mean, he could play a bigger role, right? Where he's got these dual personalities or I'd say personalities, dual lives, right? And so on one side, he's this criminal mastermind where you cover his face and you're like, oh, who is he? And then on this other side, he's this everyday person that the Birds of Prey are interacting with, who's like, yeah, I'm going to try and help you figure out who this asshole is, right? Because he's a criminal mastermind. He's doing all this shit to the city that we don't want to happen, right? And then you see his face, and then he also gets to play this other character. Bam! I just wrote the movie.
Solve this shit, man.
Wrote the movie, goddamn.
Yet you're still not on DC Daily.
No. Come on, DC.
Jesus.
I could be sitting there talking about his shit all day. But you got to fly me out to California where it's recorded, and I need a house out there. A house, not an apartment.
I don't think that's how California works. I think it's mainly apartments that cost as much as a house.
I mean, there are lots of, you don't remember watching that fucking Fixer Upper show? Those were all houses.
Aren't those for celebrities, though? Like, if you're on DC Daily, you're not really a celebrity. Like, I know John Barrowman's on there, but he makes his money off conventions.
But it's me, Daniel. It is the Palpa Kelly sitting there on DC Day. Also, I want to be on the show in my pajamas because I don't like putting on real clothes most days. It's just too much work. Pajamas.
They made him dress up for Halloween in the latest episode.
Yeah, what they wear?
One of them was Death from Sandman.
Cool.
She was also the previous host for DC's YouTube channel. There was a Penguin. There was a Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad. There was a Batman. and there might have been a Shazam. I wasn't paying too much attention because I'm like, this is still a bunch of people that have been slamming DC for years.
Who would you have been?
In the DC universe, Aquaman, Jason Momoa. I would have been
of course,
me.
Yourself. I would have just worn these ghost pajamas that I have on right now, and they'd be like, Kelly, you're supposed to be from the DC, and I'd be like, I am DC, and then I'd like sit down in my ghost pajamas. No, I would have just worn my Harley Quinn onesie.
There you go.
Call it a day. It's perfect.
That does wrap it up for our regular news for the week. Because it is the first episode of the month, we've got What's New on Netflix, the November 2018 highlights.
Remember, these are just highlights. It is not the full list. You can go to Google and search What's New on Netflix 2018, November, whatever month it is, and you can read the full list of what's coming and what is leaving on there.
First one on this list is one that I have not seen yet, but I've always wanted to. It is considered his greatest film. It is Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men, directed my favorite Harry Potter movie, which is Prisoner of Azkaban.
Who cares?
He's one of the great modern Mexican directors.
Ooh, I'm glad that you can enjoy this one.
It might be real. You know the premise of it?
No.
It's that, and I might be remembering wrong, but most of humanity is sterile. They cannot reproduce. But there is, I believe, one woman who ends up getting pregnant, and everyone's trying to protect her, but some people are trying to kill her, and it's a whole thing. So it's kind of a post-apocalyptic-ish story.
Kind of like a Handmaiden's Tale.
Or Why the Last Man. Yeah, I mean, we've seen this kind of story before, but not many movies exist like Children of Men.
Next up, we have Cloverfield.
A monster movie, as you want to get ready right before, I guess, Godzilla next year, even though he doesn't
I
fight.
thought you were going to say Christmas. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Right before Christmas. The marketing campaign of Cloverfield was phenomenal.
I remember.
It got people really fascinated and interested in the movie, and when you finally saw it, it's like it ended up being an all right movie. It did bring it put butts in seats, and you saw very little of the monster, but people were, even after the movie released, they were studying the movie and trying to find out where exactly this monster came from. And there's all kinds of theories out there, but it all played into the marketing.
I never saw this movie. I don't like spooky things, so it's not for me.
It's not scary. It's like a Blair Witch style movie, but you're following the camera as the city's falling apart around you.
No. I would have nightmares.
Another one on this list is From Dusk Till Dawn.
Is this a romance?
It is not.
Wow.
The reason I included this is it's one of those examples in which, much like Kevin Smith's Tusk, it takes a complete 180 churn in the middle of the movie, where at the beginning it's a suspense. It's these criminals starring George Clooney, and they take this family hostage, and they're trying to get out of town, and it's a whole mess. It's very suspenseful. And then in the middle of the movie, they end up in this, I believe, a bar, or it could have been a strip club, out in the middle of nowhere. I think they're in Mexico. And it turns out that everyone in the bar is a vampire. And it turns into a vampire blood fest.
What the hell? What?
Yes.
What?
Completely different movie by the half of it. Like complete, like there's heads blowing up. There's a guy that has a gun in his pants, and it turns into like a little dick, and it's got a little, it's a comedy by the middle of it.
Is that like a vampire thing? Like you can just control your penis to make a gun come
I
up?
think he's a vampire hunter, and he just goes like he hits like a thing, and it opens, and it shoots this guy.
I can't. Let's watch it. This sounds great.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Planet Hulk.
That's right, the animated feature that is way more faithful to the comic than we got in that joke that is Thor Ragnarok. They did change it, though. It's because of Planet Hulk that most people think, oh, so the Hulk fought Beta Ray Bill in that arena. No, he fought the Silver Surfer. Way cooler than Beta Ray Bill or Thor fighting the Hulk.
Next on the list, we have House of Cards Season 6. I forgot his name.
Kevin Spacey?
There you go.
Never forget Kevin Spacey. He is House of Cards.
He is House of Cards. He's not there anymore.
And he's not there. So
now
this
we just
is
have
not,
Robin Wright.
This is only 5 seasons of House of Cards.
Speaking of killing people off, right? So that's obviously what's going to happen. He's going to get killed off. Straight up, boom, heart attack, dead, whatever. Killed him off. So they killed off Roseanne. Remember? Roseanne got fired. Did you hear how they killed her off?
No.
Like, she just fucking disappears, right? They've completely renamed the show. It's just called, like, the Turners or whatever. She just disappears in like one episode. She's gone. And they start opening her cabinets and just finding prescription pill bottles, and they made her overdose. Like, that was it. She overdosed on prescription pills and she's dead.
That's one way to write them out.
And I was like, what a fucking way to go. Like, who sat there and said, let's think of the worst thing we can do to her. And yeah, let's just do it. And that's what they did.
I don't think they needed a reason. They could have just continued the show with the characters.
Yeah, just say like she went off somewhere. She was sick of her shitty life. I don't know. No, they killed her off with prescription pill bottles. And apparently it was like super emotional and people cried and all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like they did right by the fans, I think.
I guess.
They also had brought back John Goodman, right? So
Yeah.
if they ever end up bringing back Roseanne for
could.
whatever reason, I mean, if they're going to bring back James Gunn, if they ever did, then why not Roseanne? They could also pretend it never happened.
Well, yeah, because that's pretty much what they did when they brought back Goodman. But how can you have Roseanne without Goodman?
What's most disappointing to me about bringing it back to House of Cards is that we probably won't ever see the original intended final season to House of Cards.
You won't ever see it. No, of course not.
Even, like, I would like to see that original screenplay or story beats or whatever, and now it seems like they just said, well, Frank has a heart attack, which was alluded to in the other seasons, but it was more a symbolic gesture to him struggling and fighting all of these guys that won't just let him have what he fucking wants. It was just it was symbolic more than anything.
Right.
And in the final season, they said, oh no, he actually has one, and now he's gone. That's not how you do that. And I'm unfortunately not going to see season 6. I like Claire. She's a great character, but he is the show for this.
Well, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who aren't going to see it. But at this point, you finish out the show, you be done with it. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Their hands are tied.
Another Pirates of the Caribbean film is joining Netflix at World's End. Is that the third one?
Maybe. What was the fourth one that was real shitty?
There's Dead Men Tell No Tales. There is... You should know this. This is your fucking favorite franchise.
I should know this. Let me pull up Google and I'll tell you.
There's Curse of the Black Pearl.
Yes.
At World's End is definitely the third one.
Okay.
The second one is the worst of the whole fucking franchise.
Really? You think the second one is worse than the one with what's her name, who I hated?
Yeah, you're thinking of the third one, right?
No, I'm thinking of the fourth one where they go find the Fountain of Youth. Okay, so you have Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. You have Dead Man's Chest, who, ironically, I just found the ticket stub for. You have At World's End, yes, the third one. You have Dead Men Tell No Tales is the fifth one that they just did.
Right.
And then On Stranger Tides.
There you go.
Is the one that I hated the most.
With the mermaid scene was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was the only cool part, but like Penelope Cruz's character, I remember zero things about her, and she's in the fucking Halloween parade at Disney. Nobody cares. She's sitting there talking to the audience, and I'm like, Penelope Cruz, nobody cares. Who cares? You got Barbossa in the front, eating an apple, looking badass. You got Jack Sparrow in the back, sipping on like wine, rum, whatever.
Apple juice is Disney.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sipping on something. And then in the middle, you got Penelope Cruz like tipping her hat at people. Nobody cares. There's no little kid going, Mommy, look, it's Penelope Cruz.
I like how they got rid of the mermaids before they got rid of the parade character.
Right.
Amazing.
It was horrible. That's my least favorite part, is just that middle part of the boat with Penelope Cruz.
By the way, you got your Funko Pop.
I did get my Funko Pop. Red the Pirate Funko Pop. She's badass. It's me as a pirate.
Magic Kingdom exclusive, as you said. Do they have them in California's Magic Kingdom as well? Is that called Magic Kingdom?
That's Disneyland.
It's just Disneyland.
Yeah, because you got Disneyland Park and you got California Adventure.
Is that why they call parks. Is that why they call our Magic Kingdom Disney World? Because theirs is called Disneyland?
Yes.
Okay.
They're two different companies. I mean, not companies, but they're completely different.
Right. Okay. Another thing getting off the Disney talk, on Netflix is She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, which is a Netflix original. Mm-hmm. Has a lot of, I guess, fans of the He-Man cartoon had them upset because she wasn't like the original character. And a lot of those guys, I guess, saw She-Ra as well. And now they're like, that's not my She-Ra.
That's not mine.
I remember
she's wearing too many clothes.
And that's one of the things that the co-creator we had quoted in that episode was, he was saying, no, I never intended her to be like, it's 2018. Right. I never intended her to be a sex object, really. And
but she did.
I'm also getting paid to say all of this anyway, so.
And our final Netflix highlight for the month of November is Jiro Dreams of Sushi. This is a documentary. It's been up previously. We've seen it before.
Yeah, I
and
really
now they're
enjoyed
bringing it back.
The reason I included it on this list is I do think you should watch it. If you like sushi at all, or even if you like a good documentary, you should watch Jiro.
Even if you like food, if you're a foodie, watch it.
It's a sushi restaurant that has reservations, I think, over a year in advance. Like, people really want to go here. And you see the type of care that they go into to get the finest ingredients to make the finest sushi in the world is what the guy who started the business is trying to do. And his son, who goes through incredible lengths as well to be as perfect as his dad wants him to be, every morning he'll make the sushi and his dad usually does not approve of it. Like, it's never good enough.
Good enough.
And he's continually sharpening his skill. And even he says, like, I'm still not as good as, my father. And they even, like, pay some of the vendors under the table to get first pick at the fish and at the ingredients every morning or every week at the market. So really fascinating. I really enjoyed this documentary. That's spelled Jiro, Dreams of Sushi.
And that does wrap it up for our What's New on Netflix for November 2018. Like we said, you can check out the full list online.
Moving on to the Brokehead block as to what Palpa, Kelli, and I have been up to. And last month, we did not cover, somehow I missed it, on the What's New on Netflix for October. But Making a Murderer Season 2 did hit Netflix last month. And being that we were pretty avid watchers of that first season, really fascinating what ended up happening with Steve Avery. And with Season 2, it is the fallout of that documentary. He is super famous now,
of course,
even more so than before. And he has all of these fans that saw the Netflix season that are now 100% convinced that he didn't do it. He got framed again. And I'm going, I bet you he did it the first time too, that piece of shit.
We are a house divided among this. I did not watch Season 2. I do not have the emotional energy to dive back into that. It was all over my Facebook when this thing came out. I had friends on there like, I'm going to law school so I can help solve this shit. And I was like, can you just summarize it for me? Can you just let me know what happens?
I'll tell you that it is not worth seeing Season 2 of Making a Murderer. It is a colossal waste of fucking time. It is a waste of fucking time. I'm saving you hours and hours, you and the Broquette Core, because it is all just, one, a lawyer who is trying to spin a different, like, this is what they probably did with the blood, and this is what they pretty much spinning all the theories that everyone online said. After she saw how famous he got because of the Netflix documentary, which he had been writing to her for years, saying, hey, you got all these guys off that it turns out they didn't do it, or so they say, and you got them off. Maybe you can do that for me.
Maybe you can get me off, too.
And then I'll murder you. Yeah, that's probably what he's... And when Season 2 came out, or Season 1 came out, she's like, oh, this fucking guy that's been writing me. Oh, I'm sorry, I've been really busy. You know how I am. I'm going to take your case because I believe you. Then in the documentary, she says, he better hope that he's innocent because I will study his original case from top to bottom, flip every table, and if you're guilty, I will not defend you, and the prosecution won't have a better case than I will. Like, she tries to make it seem like, oh my God, she's a badass. She's out for the truth. It's like, no, it turns out, much like this woman that supposedly falls in love with him while he's in jail, they want the fame, they want the glory, they want the exposure, they want the money. As someone pointed out online, he's probably not even paying her for any of these services because the law firm is footing that bill thanks to the exposure that they're now getting to a full documentary of Season 2 on Netflix just for these idiots to go, oh, I think they're right. I think they did clean up this blood and use it in the fucking thing. It's like, no, he did it the second time. I don't know about the first time, but I'm 100% convinced he's guilty of the second one. There's a lot of info they didn't even put in Season 1 or Season 2 of Making a Murderer. They gloss over the fact that he murdered his pet when he was little, which is one of the like big signs of that's a fucking killer. That's a psychopath. They practice on animals first, then their families. And he does have, on yet another thing, he nearly murdered his girlfriend previous to his real murder that happened in Season 1. And he has a whole history of violence before he got caught for that murder that he did commit the second time. And none of that is put on this documentary. None of that is addressed. His ex-girlfriend that you saw in the first season even said that he, later on, she revealed that he threatened to kill her if she did not say these things on the documentary and be on his side. And all kinds of information that people don't fucking dig. This is what I meant by when I put up on Facebook and on Twitter that you can tell a lot about a person based on where they stand on Stephen Avery. My whole thing is, if you did your research, you kind of know. Like, yeah, he murdered her. He definitely murdered at least one person, a cat, and nearly murdered his ex-girlfriend.
Well, you've been watching that. I have been prepping for Halloween. Dun 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 na 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 dun na 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 na.
What's on? Oh, Night Before Christmas.
Dun dun na 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 dun dun na 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 na.
Oh, Halloween has come and gone. How was it for you?
It was exhausting shit.
I was happy you visited me at work.
We did. We came to visit. So my Halloween began, it was thankfully on my day off, began with my mommy fitness class, which killed me. I was dead. I mean, I guess it's fitting because it was Halloween, so it was perfect. And then we went to visit you, which we always enjoy visiting you. But then, we dressed up, so I had to get Leo in his little Pikachu costume, which hardly fits him anymore, and drive out to see you and visit him for a little while. And then we went out with my brother and my parents and did a little trick-or-treating. He only got one Kit Kat, but he was the cutest little pirate ever.
So Pikachu by day, and pirate by night.
Pirate by night, yep.
Was he raping and pillaging and stealing?
Calm down, that's my baby boy.
It's a pirate, though.
He was being cute. He was walking around, and people go, oh, look at the pirate. And then we met some Moanas.
There was Moanas out there?
There were a few Moanas.
Nice.
I mean, like little baby girl Moanas. I was like, Leo, come on. It's perfect. Look, it's Moana. And he was like looking at the dogs, like, dogs. And I'm like, all right, honey. Go play with the dogs.
He loves dogs, though. I mean, grew up with one.
He does. He does love them. He grew up with like 5 dogs.
That's true.
I did discover, though, that I am the coolest parent of Halloween. So the place where we were doing our trick-or-treating had like a little water pad, right? Where it shoots up water from the ground. And there was nobody there. I'm talking like hundreds of kids around, but nobody's playing on the splash pad because their parents didn't want them to get their costume wet. And I'm like, you know what, Leo? Enjoy.
Have fun.
You're only one once. And so he ran around. He got soaked from head to toe, ran around in the splash pad as a little pirate. It was fitting because pirates in water, and it was perfect.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm. And then we shared a Kit Kat.
You showed me the pictures, and it looked like he was having a really good time.
He was.
I saw a few trick-or-treaters at my job at the particular strip mall that I work at. Mm-hmm. They don't have a coordinated, hey, everyone's going to do trick-or-treating from these hours, which is an issue because I think it would bring in more people. Right. But because of that, our store and then some of the local ones next to us had their own specific marketing for their store. So for us, we did Halloween Comic Fest, which was the Saturday before Halloween. That was great. I loved it. It was a fun time. A lot of the subscribers came out, a lot of regulars. People that hit all the local comic shops in the area, they came out. They had a fun time. They picked out their free comics. A lot of people picked up an extra thing. It's like a quarter of a free comic book day or half a free comic book day where everyone comes out for free books and then more than half of them buy something on the way out. So it helps out everyone. Everyone's happy. And it paled in comparison, or it did way better than actually Halloween, which is on a Wednesday night. Plaza's not doing a thing. Had a couple of trick-or-treaters. Not huge. But Comic Fest was awesome.
We did spend the evening watching Chilling Tales of Sabrina, whatever.
Yeah, we saw the first
We did see the first episode. Wasn't for me. You enjoyed it. Wasn't for me.
It's definitely not a comedy like the original show. It is based on the comic, though. Very close to the comic. And if you've read that book, you know how dark it is going to be.
Extremely dark.
I'm surprised it wasn't a TVMA rating. It was like the 13 or whatever that rating is. And in the first episode, you see someone get a fucking pair of scissors through the neck in full detail with tons of blood, fall to the ground.
Well, Sabrina walks around naked, too. I don't think you're in the
but there's
room
no
for
nudity.
That. You see her butt. You see a butt crack.
You see a butt crack?
Yes.
Yeah, that should have been TVMA.
There was a butt crack. She's in the bathtub, and then she stands up. You see her butt crack like 3 times.
All right, then. I don't know why it wasn't. And, I mean, there's a lot of satanic imagery, but I don't think that should justify a, TVMA rating. But that blood and shit, yeah, I mean, that's violent as hell. Like, I don't know why it wasn't, but it is. It seems like the show didn't really catch you, though.
It didn't. I didn't watch the original, though. I never read the comic books. So maybe if I had seen the original, I would have been more attached to the character and, excited to watch it. But I don't know. There wasn't enough to keep me interested. I'm glad that it kept you interested if that was something that you want to continue watching, but...
Yeah, I'll keep watching it. I think it's similar to Riverdale, except there's not a full mystery to it, which I think is what makes Riverdale so successful and the best comic book TV show currently on TV. So I don't know, but it was along those same lines, and just enough for me to say, you know what, I'll watch episode 2. Let's see what, like right now, Sabrina does not want to go forth with being a full-on witch, which essentially is committing yourself to the Dark Lord, not Voldemort, it should have been, but to Satan. And that includes, as she says, does that mean like my whole soul and everything? And they're like, well, I mean, it's more metaphorical. It's just you kind of pledging your loyalty, but she knows that you pretty much become, you know, the Lord's property. And as they say, like, you know, you should be grateful that he does, you know, make love to you whenever, or use you or kill you or whatever. So
right.
It goes on like that. I did like it again. So yeah, I'll watch another 2 or 3 episodes and see if it continues.
But that does wrap it up for our Brocat block this week. And now we can jump into our Patreon shoutouts.
We've got 5 shoutouts this week. First one goes out to Alexander. On Twitter, it is @SwordfishShow. If you head on over to purpleswordfish.com, it will redirect you straight to his YouTube channel, where he does put up a lot of Let's Plays. He also does the Dead Channel Duo podcast, available at your favorite podcatcher, where they do cover video games, movies, and sports.
Alex retweeted his wife's birthday nails featuring Gengar, Haunter, and Ghastly.
They were fucking cool.
They sound amazing.
They were awesome. It has all 3 of them, and it has like the little Halloween themed colors. You've got purples, you've got blacks in there. I don't know who did them, but they fucking nailed it.
Nailed it. Next up, we have Lourdes and Katie.
Katie was against the Deathstroke Yogi Bear cover change as done by Tyler Kirkham. So originally, the cover had Deathstroke coming at Yogi Bear, but the Yogi Bear character, or the drawing, was done as a realistic grizzly bear, like roaring at Deathstroke and, you know, furrowed or whatever you call it, and teeth bared. And I guess someone at editorial told him, well, that's not really the story we're telling. So he had to redo the whole thing. And yeah, he got paid to redo it. But
of course.
Instead, it is him like teaming up with Yogi Bear. So they're kind of peeking over bushes. And Yogi Bear does not look realistic. He's got the little beady eyes. And he's also looking kind of confused as he looks onward with Deathstroke. So it seems like they're capitalizing more on the fact that it's a team up and not a fight.
Are they gonna go steal some picnic baskets?
They might.
Picnic baskets. Hey, boo boo.
I think it's funny that I saw 1 or 2 subscribers look down on them like, that's the crossover they're doing now. It's like, well, this is all extra. They're extra books. They're not a part of the continuity, man.
They've all been lame. Anyway, ooh.
The Lex Luthor Porky Pig one was really good.
I mean, that one was good.
And I've read a minimal number of these. So I've heard, like Scott from Lazy Game Guys, he's like, I like all of these. He liked a lot of them.
Well, that's awesome.
And most people, and I sold out of the Nightwing main cover. I sold out of the Deathstroke and Yogi Bear main cover. I've been selling out of a lot of these. The Catwoman Tweety one also sold out of.
Just not for me.
It's not for you. That's how you got to look at it.
All right.
Next shout out goes out to Bobby on Twitter @CubanSlim.
Bobby has been trying to win tons of pops on Twitter, including Toxin, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, Spider-Hulk, and more.
Toxin, of course, being the offspring of Carnage. I guess just Carnage, but yeah, really cool symbiote Funko Pop that not many are familiar with. So I hope you do win some of these, because I know Bobby's always applying to them. I'm curious if he's ever won any. So if you can let us know, Bobby, because he does enter a lot of them.
Our next shout out goes out to Neil, whose Twitter handle is @Inmats68. I almost said 67. It's right in front of me. Inmats68.
And by the way, be sure to follow all of these on Twitter. Neil accidentally cut the tip of his thumb as he was trying to do his job as an athletic trainer. He was trying to cut a piece of tape. I believe it was with scissors, and ended up slicing like the tip.
Ooh.
Like full pictures on his Instagram as well by the same name, Inmats68.
Nasty.
It is full detail, but It looks like he's recovering.
TVMA as well. It should be.
Apparently not. Yeah, please recover, Neil. That's a man doing his job. Like you lost a part of your.
Why isn't it just a person doing their job? You saying women can't cut off the tips of their fingers?
Because Neil is a man. Cutting off the tip of his finger.
Okay.
Name me a woman who's cut off the tip of her finger.
I worked with a woman who slammed her finger in a screen door as a child and had no tip of her finger.
And if he had also slammed his door in a finger, then I would have agreed, yes, a person.
Okay.
Just following your logic here. John, final shout out for Patreon. Twitter handle is at John72Tex. On Instagram at Johnny2Chips.
John shared a picture of his copy of Flash number 139, the first appearance of Reverse Flash, and is for us doing our monthly look at the preview catalog.
Yeah, he really enjoyed the segment of the previews catalog, along with Innsmouth_Tide. They were both like, yeah, do the previews catalog highlights every month. So
there we go.
It was fun, like just having the catalog right in front of us, and you were pointing out shit like, what the hell is this? Pikachu? Immediately drawn to Pikachu.
It was, of course I am. My Pikachu senses were like, over here.
Thank you so much to our Patreon shoutouts, John, Neil, Bobby, Lourdes and Katie, and Alexander. If you too would like your shout out every single month for as little as $1 a month, equals out to 25 cents an episode, you too can get your shout out. We've recently lost and gained some subscribers. So if you're listening to the show and you're saying, you know what, I'm getting $1 worth of information, entertainment each month, if not more, then go ahead. Whatever you think you can afford or whatever you think the podcast should get each month. Patreon.com/thereasonsimBroke.
Every little bit helps. Like we've said before, the podcast is not free for us to put on. There's all these different monetary things that go on behind the
upload
scenes,
costs and
all that kind of stuff. But of course, for you all, our podcast will always be free. The best thing you can do is reach out to us on Twitter. Let us know what you thought of the show, what you would like to hear more of. Let your friends know about us. Leave us a review on whatever podcatcher you're listening on.
And this week, we want to tell you about our Discord lounge. There is a link in today's show notes. If you head on over to thereasonsimbroke.com as well, you will find a link to our Discord at the very bottom of the page. It is a place in which many, kind of like a ongoing chat room, where all the Brokehead Core members can interact, can talk. They share a lot of useful links and memes on there. You also have people like Lazy Gaming Guys and Purple Swordfish, world famous, in the Discord lounge, or so I heard. You got to check it out to see for yourself.
And as we say every week, special thank you to Jost from DecalAvenue.com for help with the $5 reward tier.
Let's wrap up our podcast with our comic book review of the week.
Our comic book this week is Hex Wives #1. This is written by Ben Blacker with art by Mirka Andolfo, and the colorist is Marissa Luis.
This is, of course, published by DC Vertigo, so it is part of their mature line that stands outside of the DC regular universe. So it's kind of like their independent portion of the company. And the reason I ended up picking this particular series, this new #1 up, and I did add it to our sub, was because of Mirka Andolfo. I love her artwork. I got a commission from her at C2E2 a couple years back, where she did do the Poison Ivy as the full inked, and she did it within a day, like within hours. Professional fucking artist. She works out of Italy, and she's not often in the US. That just happened to luck out that she had gone to, I think, New York and C2E2 that year. And since then, she hasn't really been in the area, or at least any conventions that we've been to, so I can get a second commission. And thankfully, I got the Poison Ivy when I did. Great price on it, too, especially based on what we got and the ink. So it's one of those cases in which, on top of that, she was really nice, her and her husband. You make a fan for life when you do that kind of stuff.
Course.
So it pays to be nice, and it's paying off right now. We're reviewing her book right now on the podcast. So Hex Wives #1, it ends up being a witch story. It sets up a story of these different, and they all seem to be females, these witches that are essentially immortal. Anytime they die, they come back. And throughout the years, there's been this organization of all male characters. I don't know if they're warlocks. They don't really say, but it seems like they're mortals that have been trying to kill off these witches, because if they continue to procreate or continue to bring more into their fold, then they, as immortals, can take over the world. but the story is told from the perspective of the witches. So they're the protagonist in the story.
You do have, so essentially what they set up, and this is just kind of a baseline, right, for where they're going to go from here, because you jump through several different moments in time when they're fighting all these people. You have two witches who are together in love. They're a couple. You see them shirtless, getting busy in a barn, right? So we know that they're an item, that they have the different friends that they're with and all that kind of stuff. And then you fast forward to what I guess is present time, and they're not together. So it appears that they don't remember that they're witches until a certain something happens. So this organization finally figured out, if we wife them up, if we marry them, then they're never going to get to that stage, right? We just have to keep them with us, and then it's never going to happen. And that's ultimately how we defeat them. And so that's where you are right now in this story, is they're all wifed up. They all live together in the same area, but because they have these husbands who are from this different organization, they don't realize that they're witches.
Yeah, I did enjoy, obviously the artwork is amazing. The different panels of action are great. I thought it was a little clunky in how they got to that portion of how do they forget, what do we know, what happened. It's a little messy, and I don't know if they're going to answer that in the future issues. If they do, it still doesn't excuse the kind of setup that they had, because there's a way to do it in which you're like, they set up these questions and we don't know, but here it's not set up in that smooth way, at least. So to me, I thought that was a little poorly written, but as far as the premise of it, it's like, okay, I'm buying into this. And so far, like I said, I ended up subscribing to the series.
I definitely agree 100% with that. There was a better way, I think, to write this first issue, but the premise is pretty interesting. Not something that we've ever seen before. So I'll definitely try and read the second one and see if it catches my interest a little bit more.
What's funny is even though it's in present day, is what we're seeing, they're kind of, as you said, wifed up. So it's kind of more 50s-ish, 40s.
Yeah.
And they even have that same attire as well from that time period. So I'm kind of curious as to what part of the world they're in which it's kind of stuck in this period of time. They're also, I guess that's the symbol there where they're not progressing as witches, or they're not developing their powers.
Right.
Do you think it's a little too political, I guess, in that way, in which it's saying because they're wifed up, they're not progressing as women? And you think that's a little too on the nose?
I don't think that that's what I pulled from it. Now that you mention that, yes, I could definitely see that. But I don't think that they're trying to make that political statement by saying it. I think it's just where they are within the story, right? This is the way that you stop them, because they're never going to... I don't know. Now that you say that, yeah, I guess I really see it. But I still don't think that that's what they were trying to do, because that wasn't what I picked up on first round. The
fun of it is going to come out in which, as they discover their powers, hijinks, as we saw when they were lighting up that match, and they're sneaking cigarettes, like that's a big deal. Like, right. I think it's really funny. I think that's where I got the most fun of it, and that's the second half of the comic book. So I think if you're looking for something from Vertigo, something a little bit different, maybe more indie feeling, horror, violence, but not really a dark story, if that makes any sense. It's just the content that's a little extreme, and with beautiful artwork on top of that, then I think you should give at least number one a shot.
But that will wrap it up for our podcast this week. Lots of news for you guys, lots of discussion about a lot of things. Reach out to us on Twitter. Let us know how your Halloween went at Reasons I'm Broke, at Kelli.
Thank you so much, Brokehead Core, for the feedback that we've been getting as far as the previews catalog. For the reviews that we got this year, we've still got a few months left before 2018 wraps up. So if you haven't yet left us a review on your favorite podcatcher, please be sure to do so. It helps the most on iTunes. Not just the rating, but actually writing a review helps out in other people finding the podcast. And aside from that, thank you for supporting the show. October ended up being our fourth most downloaded month in 2018. I haven't yet looked at the overall rankings, but 2018 as a year has been one of our strongest ones I think our strongest ones in the podcast's history. So I'll have to break that down. Thank you again for telling your friends about us and for staying subscribed to the podcast. I'm Darth Vader Daniel.
I'm Ember Kelli.
And Brokehead Core. All will be well.
We'll see you next week.